Hi everybody! This year I'm doing my top 5 games list in video form. Now this is the first time I've ever done something like this, so bear with me here guys. Alright, here we go. As some of you know, this has been a very tough year for choosing a best game. There have been many excellent games, but no unanimous standout. IGN, Game Informer, Kotaku, the VGAs, and XPlay have all chosen a different game of the year. These are my favorites, but this is not by any means a definitive list of the best games. They're just the ones I personally like the best. Let's start with some honorable mentions. The Call of Duty franchise has been, let's say, politely criticized by many gamers in recent years. Some of the criticisms are warranted, while others aren't. But I think Black Ops 2 has been the best entry in the franchise since the first Modern Warfare. Treyarch has brought the series into the future, both in the setting of the game and in the evolution of the gameplay. Your actions now have an effect on the story, and your choices will tangibly change the game's ending. Fail to save somebody or perform an objective, and it will come back to bite you. The cool new guns and gadgets have brought life to this once stagnant series. I hope other first-person shooters will follow this game's example when crafting their single-player experience. And of course, there are still zombies. In Dishonored, you play as a bodyguard to the Empress of Dunwall, a city that is suffering from a devastating plague. Upon your return from a failed quest to find a cure, a group of assassins kill the Empress and kidnap her daughter. You are framed for this crime. After escaping prison with the help of some loyalists, you then seek vengeance from the people who set you up. If you have been disappointed by the lack of real stealth games this generation, then Dishonored is for you. And if the shadows aren't your weapon of choice, there are still many creative ways to use a sword. The gameplay is top-notch, but I found the story lacking, the characters underdeveloped, and the major twist very predictable. Therefore, I cannot include it in my top 5. Hopefully a sequel will fix these problems. It kills me to not put Journey in the top 5 because honestly this is a beautiful work of art. But for me, Journey is more of a moving painting, an emotional experience rather than a video game. However, I think many years from now people will look at this game as a pivotal contributor to the evolution of the art of gaming. That game company has achieved something extraordinary in its stunning but ambiguous story. Who is this protagonist? Why is he or she trying to climb the mountain? What lies at the end of the road? These questions don't matter. Just sit down, turn up the audio, and enjoy this 2-hour spiritual journey. Okay, now that that's out of the way, here are my 5 favorite games of 2012. Every new Halo game that comes out has a lot of expectations to live up to. This is, after all, the Hallmark franchise that put the Xbox on the map. So when the newly formed 343 Studios took over for Bungie, it had a lot of pressure to preserve the legacy of Halo while at the same time moving the series forward. I think it succeeded. In this game, Master Chief returns, waking up after years in frozen slumber to face a new threat on a new Forerunner facility. The Prometheans, led by the Didact, are hell-bent on destroying the human race, and once again, only one heavily armored man can stop them. There are enough new weapons, enemies, and abilities to make Halo 4 feel fresh. And as always, the multiplayer is one of the best around. This may sound like business as usual for Halo, but the real draw here, the thing that makes this game special, is the relationship between Master Chief and Cortana.
Seems like old times.
These characters had not really been explored in past games. Both were created as instruments of war with no real emotional attachments, but after going through so much together, the two have developed a strong connection with each other. And now, Cortana is dying. Her only hope of survival lies with her creator, Dr. Halsey. So the goal of the game isn't just to save humanity, but also to save the only person Master Chief actually cares about, and the only person who cares about him. Master Chief has never been so human. I think Halo 4 is the best entry in the franchise, largely because of the bond between these two characters.
Before this is all over, promise me you'll figure out which one of us is the machine.
Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is? Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change.
Jason Brody has had a bad day. While vacationing on Rook Island, he along with his brothers and friends are kidnapped by pirate slavers. Jason finds a way to escape, and with the help of the natives, he begins his journey to liberate the beautiful island and rescue his friends. The game offers many fun ways to fight pirates, tons of collectibles, and gorgeous graphics. I cannot remember the last time I played a first-person shooter with as much flair and confidence as Far Cry 3. It is just so enjoyable accompanying Jason on his path to becoming a warrior. Or is he actually on a descent to becoming a killer?
Who have I become?
You see, beneath the AK-47s and RPGs is something more. Far Cry 3 is really a stylistic examination of violence. This is not your run-of-the-mill shooter. The game asks you, the player, to think about why you are killing. Is it to save Jason's friends, or is it just for fun? To further emphasize this theme, the game presents my favorite villain of the year, Vaas. He is a completely ruthless man who simply enjoys killing, and he stands between Jason and his friends. But on the path to kill this man, Jason is in danger of becoming the very thing he fights. Far Cry 3 is a fun video game that also raises serious questions, which is why it is one of the best of the year.
You are a warrior. You live for battle. Every man you fight dies and deserves to have his life taken from him.
The Assassin's Creed games have evolved so much over the years, and I think this entry has provided a near-perfect swan song for Desmond Miles. Everything has come to this. Earth is days away from being wiped out by the sun, unless Desmond can figure out how to save it with technology left behind by the mysterious First Civilization. To do so, he will have to jump back into the Animus and venture one more time into the memory of an ancestor. This time, Desmond relives the life of Connor, a member of the Mohawk tribe living during the time of the American Revolution. Connor also happens to be part of a long line of assassins. When he is a child, Templars attack his village, killing his mother. To get revenge and end the Templars' influence in the colonies, Connor finds a teacher to help him reach the potential of his bloodline. On his quest, he meets Sam Adams, George Washington, and even participates in the Boston Tea Party. Speaking of Boston, I absolutely loved seeing Faneuil Hall and the Old State House in this game. Everything has been improved in Assassin's Creed 3. Combat has been streamlined, freerunning is much smoother, and the inclusion of naval warfare is one of the best things to ever happen to this franchise. Best of all, morality in this game is not black and white. Connor may seek freedom for the colonies, but the Templars want to avoid war and death. Which side is right?
They must lay down their arms. They must stop this war.
And even as the Patriots fight for their freedom, they put an entire race in chains and seize land from the country's first inhabitants. In the end, Assassin's Creed 3 does many things right and few things wrong. I can't wait to see how Ubisoft Montreal will outdo itself next time. Have you played The Walking Dead yet? If the answer is no, go do it now. It only costs around $30 and you will get one of the most thrilling and emotional games of the year. I have to admit, I initially had doubts about this game. I thought it was just a greedy cash grab, riding on the insane popularity of the TV show and comic books. I was wrong. You play as Lee Everett, a man guilty of murder and on his way to prison when the zombie apocalypse strikes. After freeing yourself, you arrive at a house, empty except for a little girl named Clementine. As a decent human being, you decide to take care of this helpless child. And before you know it, you will come to care for her as if she were a real person. You will do anything to protect her. Don't be fooled, The Walking Dead is not a game about killing zombies, it is about survival, by any means necessary. You will run into many survivors on your journey to find a place where the two of you will be safe. You will make tough decisions that affect the people who trust you. You will experience moments of joy, fear, and genuine heartbreak. I was surprised by how attached I grew to some of these characters, especially Clementine. Somehow, the game made me want to sincerely protect her, whether from the dead, the living, or just as importantly, loss of innocence. She represents hope, which, in a zombie apocalypse, is the scarcest resource left. The relationship between Lee and Clementine make The Walking Dead a guaranteed classic. If you play one game this year, make it this one. For Clementine.
Look, I don't know what happened, but I'll look after you until then.
And finally, my favorite game of the year is Mass Effect 3. I know this is a controversial pick given the game's ending, which many did not like, however I loved it. I cannot change the mind of anyone who has already formed an opinion, so I won't try. I will argue though that the journey is much more important than the destination, and there's no denying that Commander Shepard's final journey is incredible. In the final entry in this epic trilogy, the seemingly invincible Reapers have once again returned to the galaxy to exterminate all intelligent life, as they have done many times before. You will have to unite the numerous races and factions to stop this common threat. Combat has been improved here and there are some thrilling set pieces. But, as always, story, characters, and choices are the real highlights of this game. I've personally become very invested in the Mass Effect universe after playing the first two entries. I care if the Quarians and Geth can ever live peacefully together. or if the Krogan will ever be cured of the genophage. Mass Effect 3 gives resolutions to nearly all these storylines, factoring decisions made all the way back in the first game in 2007. And how these story threads will end is up to the player. Choices in this game have huge consequences. They can change the fate of an entire race, or they can affect the lives of just a few individuals. The game brings back many favorite characters that players care about. It's great seeing Mordin, Legion, or Rex again, learning how they've grown since meeting Shepard, and accompanying them on one last mission. Like many of the games in this list, Mass Effect 3 lives and dies by how attached you are to the characters. I truly think this series will go down as one of the best gaming trilogies ever. This third entry has cemented its place in history. It is without a doubt my favorite game of 2012.